Yeah. Um, I want to pick up on the piece of relationship, and you had talked almost that there's a little bit of wish fulfillment and wishful thinking and what we want generative AI to do for us. You had the CEO of Replica, which is an AI chatbot that you have a relationship with on Eugenia Kaida, I think it is. And she cited the psychologist Carl Rogers' model, which I thought was super interesting. His basic theory is we grow as people when we have someone in our life who gives us unconditional regard, right? Like you said, who listens to us, who takes time, and who has empathy and unconditional positive regard for us. And I was thinking about that in the context of management. Very few managers, even those who are supposed to be mentoring talent, have unconditional positive regard, empathy, or time. And yet the replica bot seems to have proven to have all three for someone. So, right? I mean, could at some level a Gen AI bot be a better manager or mentor for me than my real bot, my real boss?
At the risk of being very reductive and comparing people in the workplace to sheep, literal sheep.
Literal sheep.
I
Okay.
will reference a story we did about an AI-powered robotic sheepdog. And this thing was, it was announced. There's great fanfare. The robot sheepdog is finally here. And we just happened to have our AI reporter at the time was a very dry, very sharp British man named James Vincent. And he was in England, and he was like, I don't know, man, like I have access to sheep farmers. So he went and he took the pitch of the robot sheepdog to a bunch of sheep farmers, and they all 201 laughed at this thing. And they said the sheep are much smarter than this.
Mm.
And they have a relationship with the sheepdog, and the sheepdog is very good. And the sheepdog is often very kind, a famously sort of gentle herding. Like we train them as pets, and
Right.
sometimes they herd our children, right? It's like this famous example. And then I'll send you the story so listeners can read it. In it, one of the sheep farmers was like, "But it is important to note that the sheep are aware that the dog has teeth and can use the teeth, and there's no way we're ever going to let the robot have teeth or use the teeth. Like, it's just not going to happen. They're going to knock this thing over. The second they find out they can bully the robot, it's all over. The robot will cease to be an effective sheepdog." And I thought that was so interesting. And I actually asked Eugenia about this. I've talked to a lot of folks about this very concept, that your relationship with other people is sort of predicated, not on teeth necessarily, but on the sense that you're trying to stay within a normative environment. You're trying to make sure everyone feels good at a baseline level. You have the very real ability to make another person feel very bad. It's almost our default. You have to try to not make other people feel bad. And you see all over the place that that's slipping in a lot of people's sort of default response to the presence of another person is to just make them feel bad or scream or yell. Like, our social norms are already slipping in a dangerous way. And then most importantly, I think in the context of management, you have to tell people when they're doing a good job or a bad job. And if you don't ever tell someone they're doing a bad job, or importantly, that sometimes it's okay to do a bad job in the service of doing a better job somewhere else, you're actually not providing any constructive feedback. One of the most important pieces of feedback I've ever got in my entire career was an old boss who said, "It's fine if this is a C. We just need to get it out the door. It's fine. Stop. You are trying to make everything an A+ all the time. It's fine if this one thing is a C. Just make sure all this other stuff is an A+."
And they meant it. They meant that.
They're very sincere about it. They're like, you just need to move this down the line. Just get it off. And I'm not sure that I've completely internalized when things can be an A or a B or a C. But sometimes things can be a C. And I think you need someone who can evaluate your work at this is a C and be honest that it's a C and say, well, no, that's got to go be an A, or be honest that it's a C and say, get it off your plate so you can make the other thing an A. And I don't know that an always on LLM who's there to love you every minute of the day, you can disappoint your mother. There's a tension there that's important that none of these systems can actually provide.
Which your mother also has teeth.
Yeah. Oh, do they ever? Especially the good ones, right?
Yeah. Right. And I think the other thing, and I can give you lots of exercises on how to be a C+ student, because it's a really healthy thing for those of us who are driven always to achieve and be a little perfectionistic, is that we learn from modeling people we respect. And your boss was your boss, and they were saying, hey, this is okay. And so your brain says, oh, okay, well, if he can do it, that must mean it's okay sometimes. And you file that away.